Okay, so let's talk about the state of AI in 2025, because it is a wild story of two extremes. On one hand, you have this absolutely incredible industrial power, and on the other, a surprisingly convincing illusion. We're going to unpack this paradox and look at the seriously clever ways engineers and policymakers are trying to chart a path forward.
I mean, seriously, this year, AI stopped being just another cool tech tool. It's now a fundamental layer of our economy. The State of AI report is even calling this the industrial era of AI. And for good reason, the scale is it's staggering. But here's the big question, right? For all of that incredible power, are we just mistaking a really sophisticated imitation for genuine intelligence? Some pretty groundbreaking new research suggests that AI's ability to reason might be a whole lot more fragile than we think.
So, to really understand the illusion, you first have to appreciate the power. And the numbers behind AI's growth are just massive. This isn't some future prediction, this is a true industrial revolution happening in real time.
Let's start with just how everywhere it is. A landmark survey in the State of AI report found that a stunning 95% of professionals are now using AI either at work or at home. This is not a niche technology anymore. It is completely woven into the fabric of our daily lives.
And this timeline just shows you the speed of it all perfectly. Just look at the evolution of Meta's Llama models. In a little over 2 years, we've rocketed from a research-only model to Llama 4, a super complex multi-model system. The acceleration is it's breathtaking.
And Llama 4 isn't just one model. It's a whole family of absolute giants. We're talking about models with hundreds of billions of parameters, and there's one on the way that's getting close to 2 trillion. That is the raw industrial power we're talking about.
So, okay, the power is undeniable. We've got that. But what about the intelligence behind it? This is where things get really fascinating, because we're starting to question what's really going on inside these massive models.
For years, the secret sauce has been this technique called chain of thought, or COT. Basically, you just prompt a model to think step by step, and what you get are these outputs that look incredibly logical, right? It looks like the AI is truly reasoning its way to an answer. It's been the foundation of its impressive problem-solving skills.
But here comes the bombshell. Recent research out of Arizona State University makes this incredible claim. They argue that this reasoning we've all been so impressed with isn't real understanding at all. It's a brittle mirage, an illusion that just shatters the moment you push the AI outside of the patterns it was trained on.
So how'd they test this? Well, the researchers basically just pushed the AI way out of its comfort zone. They threw entirely new types of problems at it, they changed the length of the logical chain it needed, or they just tweaked the wording of the prompt. And what happened? The AI's famous step-by-step logic just fell apart. This suggests COT isn't true reasoning, but an incredibly sophisticated form of pattern matching.
So, if the reasoning is a mirage, how do we make AI more useful and reliable? Well, the engineering community is not waiting around. They are developing some incredibly clever ways to work with and, work around these limitations.
The core challenge for engineers is a practical one. Those giant models we just saw, like Llama 4, they're incredibly powerful, yeah, but they are also incredibly slow and expensive to operate. Every single query costs real time and real money.
And this is where the ingenuity really shines. Engineers are combining techniques like model cascades and speculative decoding. You can think of it like a smart team. You've got a small, fast model that handles all the easy questions and even drafts answers. Then the big, powerful model only has to step in for the really hard parts or to quickly give a thumbs up to the little guy's work. It's faster, it's cheaper, and it's just as accurate. Brilliant.
Okay, let's shift gears from the abstract world of text to the physical world, where AI's power is becoming really tangible. A huge area of progress is in computer vision, where AI is learning to track objects in motion with incredible precision.
Broadly, there are 2 ways this works. You've got single object tracking, or SOT, which is like putting a spotlight on one person in a crowd, and having the AI follow just them. But then you've got multiple object tracking, or MOT, which is way more complex. It's like the AI is watching the entire crowd at once, automatically identifying and following dozens of different objects simultaneously.
And the process itself is this constant, super fast loop. First, the AI identifies the target. Then it builds a model of what that target looks like even as it changes shape or angle. It uses that to estimate where the target's going to move next before finally pinpointing its new exact location. It's just a constant cycle of seeing, predicting, and confirming over and over again. All right, so with all this power and all these real-world applications, the final piece of the puzzle has to be governance. I mean, how do you create the rules for a technology that's evolving this fast?
What's really fascinating is just how quickly the rulebook is evolving to keep pace. If you look at the PICCOM governance framework, for example, you can see this huge shift in just 1 year. In 2024, the focus was all on these broad foundational principles, like fairness and transparency. But by 2025, the conversation has become so much more specific and action-oriented.
The new enhancements are tackling today's biggest challenges head-on. We're now talking about classifying AI based on risk, creating specific rules for generative AI, demanding sustainability and green AI, and, crucially, addressing the impact on the workforce with programs for reskilling.
And this just shows how complex writing the rulebook is. Even a term we think we all understand, like open source, is suddenly up for debate. You have Meta releasing Llama and calling it open, but the open source initiative is pushing back because the license restricts certain commercial and military uses. Defining these basic terms is now a critical battleground.
So what are the big things to take away from all this? First, the scale of AI is now truly industrial. Second, its amazing reasoning ability is probably more of a brittle mirage than we realized. And third, that combination of immense power and hidden fragility makes building a clear, robust rulebook more urgent than ever.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We've spent decades trying to build a machine that can think, but maybe, as AI becomes a perfect imitator of intelligence, the real challenge ahead isn't building the machine anymore. Maybe the real challenge is figuring out how we'll even recognize and define the genuine article.